All right.
All right. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and it will be broadcasted over the Lunenburg Public Access channel and uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. With that, I'll do a roll call. Karen?
Here.
Colleen? Karen, you need to unmute her.
I can't unmute her. She's going to unmute herself.
Oh,
Rookie.
all right. I'll go for Chris Sullivan.
I'm here.
And
I'm here.
there you go. All right. And Anna Lockwood here as well. Our member, Pat Hackey, he is working today. He's a fireman and he will be trying to log in, but they had a call. With that, I will pass to the first item on the agenda is Welland Meridian schematic design presentation. So I'll pass it on to Catherine and her team.
Great, thank you so much, Anna, and thank you to the Park Commission for having us here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Tonight, we are presenting our 50% work on the design for Marshall Park. We've been working with Meridian over the last couple weeks in adjusting and moving forward with real dimensions and real elevations using the survey information provided. So I thought we would start by walking the commission and the public through the design as it exists. And I'll be highlighting any adjustments that we've made just so that we can talk about them and get your input and any feedback. Once we've walked through the overall plan and talked about adjustments, Nick from Meridian will talk about stormwater management and grading strategies for the site. And then I will briefly walk us through the entire schematic design drawing set, which is the technical drawings. And that package will be passed on to the commission for their review and comment. But there are a lot of pages, so I thought in the interest of time, we would briefly discuss. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So what we've got is Marshall Park. This is a diagrammatic overall plan. And I thought we would start by walking through at Massachusetts Avenue. We've slightly adjusted the entry sequence at Mass Ave so that we have a straight entrance that's two-way. And then you can either continue going forward or you can turn right. We've divided the parking area into two different surfaces to accommodate stormwater and reduce our overall impervious coverage. So what we've proposed is a paved parking area and drive here, and then a gravel surface or a pervious pavement in this sort of overflow lot at Plan South. And that way, for day-to-day use of the park, visitors and visitors, teams, etc., will have a bituminous asphalt parking area and drive. And then on days where there might be a game and there's additional parking needed, the overflow lot can accommodate those spaces. And this keeps us, this gives us about 75 parking spaces down here at Mass Ave. As we continue into the park, we have the concessions area with the pavilion and restrooms to provide services for visitors and also assist the town as they work to have summer programs here at the park. We've incorporated the skate park in its revised location as provided by the skate park team. And as we continue on, we have an open lawn area around the skate park. And then we have located the playground area which has plenty of room for equipment. As we continue into the park, we have the basketball court, as well as 3 pickleball courts with a pathway through. We've accommodated the softball field, as well as the 90-foot baseball diamond. And one adjustment that we made to reduce impervious surface and kind of consolidate and allow both softball and baseball to use some of the same facilities is we've removed the path that ran in between these 2 fields. And so instead, whoops, we've got our batting cages. Whoops, sorry, everyone. Oh no, there we go. We have batting cages that are in between the 2 fields to be shared by baseball and softball. And then they've also got their own bullpens on either side. We've provided some restrooms over near the proposed septic, as well as some storage for the athletics. We've also included storage at the end of the bullpen for the 90-foot diamond. Moving through the park, we've made some adjustments at this upper parking area along Chestnut Street. And one of the things that we've done is that we have reworked the parking, and also we've elevated it. And Nick is going to cover this in his discussion about stormwater. And by elevating it, we now have a wall, 2 walls actually, that allow this parking space or parking lot to be raised about 4 feet above finished grade here at the baseball diamond. And that's to accommodate stormwater and also an ADA ramp that allows everybody to come down into the park at the same place. Continuing along, we've included the dog park by reusing the footprint of the existing basketball courts. And then moving sort of through the park, we've roughed in a trail that comes through, crosses some wetlands, and reaches an observation platform which overlooks the pond. And then we have a different leg which brings you back through a little bit of different route, crosses a wetland, and winds back down to this side pathway. And over at the Pocket Park along Highland, we have accommodated 5 parking spaces along the street, parallel parking, as well as a small picnic pavilion with some picnic tables and a little seating area. So that's sort of the big picture of where we are right now in terms of the design. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have at this point before I turn it over to Nick to discuss the stormwater and grading.
I had one regards to some of the parking.
Sure.
In the on the marsh on the Mass Ave and the kind of rougher parking, maybe not paved or whatnot. Can that still be marked? Can that still be painted and maintained with parking lines and so forth? It's like you see that in those kind of gravel lots where someone pulls in and takes 3 parking spots.
Right. Yep.
You know, and I can see that being, you know, for a bigger game and so forth, or bigger events going on at the park, and so like just making sure things like that can be maintained. And then the loop that goes around. I know you said it's 2 ways coming into that parking lot. Do you foresee the loop itself being a 1-way loop still? You don't see that as being a 2-way loop on the Mass Ave. Yeah. So once they come
in terms of the Mass Ave.
Yeah. So
Yes.
once they make that right-hand turn, like would we be forcing everybody to make that right-hand turn into the parking lot as opposed to driving straight all the way
This
up?
is let me zoom in here. Hold on a minute. So this is a 2-way entry drive.
Yeah.
So if you're, just coming to go to the playground with your kids, or for a program, you can enter, come around the roundabout, and then drive in and park wherever you'd like. If you don't find parking up in this area, you can continue driving down until you find parking.
I just foresee safety issues. We're obviously way ahead of the game, but safety wise, that drop off loop, I'd like to see that be a one-way
Okay,
sort of deal.
Okay.
Just from, I just envision a parent pulling over on the right-hand side of the road on the inside of that circle, trying to let a kid out to go to baseball practice. Someone's coming
Mhm.
through the parking lot around the circle the other way.
yep,
I'd
okay.
want, so the
That's-
two-way coming
that's a
in,
good
and then
point.
they'd be forced to make that right-hand turn into the parking lot to go
Right,
north on
Okay.
north in that loop, so that
Mhm.
the passenger side of the vehicle is always on the right side.
absolutely. Yeah.
Around that loop, kind of do, just from a safety standpoint.
Yeah, that's certainly something that we can adjust. Absolutely.
Silly
Um,
question, sort of on, I'm sorry, Anna, go ahead.
and who's this? I'm sorry.
That was Anthony Caioso.
Oh, hi, Anthony. Can we give a chance for the commissioners to ask their questions and then perhaps
go
we'll
right ahead.
open to the public?
Sure.
All right, appreciate
Yeah.
that. Karen, do you have anything?
I guess my only question in the grand scheme, it's probably not a huge issue, but is there a way on that, that gravel lot to connect it into the main road going out so that people who may enter that lot thinking there's parking and then find none can exit without having to do a 3001 point turn?
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. There is minimum between entrances to public roads. I believe it's 60 feet.
Okay.
That you need to have separated between your curb cuts. We'll double check on that and see if we can come up with another alternative. Mhm.
Okay, Colleen, do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
I don't think so. I had concerns about that parking, about just similar to what Chris and Karen are talking about, how that all works out with two-way traffic. But other than that, no, it looks great.
Great.
Catherine, so a quick, I'm gonna ask for about fire trucks and school buses, making that right, either going all the way to the end and making that loop and then exiting that section of the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that has been measured.
That's correct.
Okay.
Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you did it with a fairly conservative radius, correct?
Yeah, we ran a fire truck and a school bus, and the program itself is over conservative, so they
Okay.
can take both radiuses in and out of both ways.
Okay. One thing that I like about having this, and this is regarding the parking lot, being one way, where is that traffic is only present in half of the cars parked. So where the other way, where the traffic would be running along the parking, here only half, the traffic would only be present half of the cars that would be parked. So I like that as a safety feature. Like if I have small children, I'm probably going to go where there's no cars coming back and forth, because I want to be, fewer cars coming in and out and passing through. The outfield length for the 9-foot diamond, is that still 350? I guess it's not the outfield, but from home base all the way to center field, is that still 350 feet?
I believe it is. I have it, it's in our, it's further up in our drawings.
Okay. Now, I just want to make sure that's still going to
Yeah.
serve the current users for it. The walkway, what is the length of the walkway now that you kind of took that middle section off? Is it Do you know more or less or no?
No, we do
No,
not know
okay.
offhand, but we can get you that information. Mhm.
Okay. And that walkway is still fairly ADA compliant, right? No more than 4 degrees.
Oh, yeah, all of the
slope.
walkways are ADA compliant,
Okay,
with the exception of the walking trail within the sort of woods. But all of the surfaces that you see are walkways and not ramps,
okay,
with the exception of this ramp up at the parking lot.
okay. Now the nature trails, the one, what is the biggest drop on that? Is there a section that is more ADA friendly? I guess is my question. My
So
first
we're still working on grading it out completely.
Okay, okay,
We can certainly, provide the slopes once we get that sort of further developed. Mhm.
uh-huh. Yeah, and the reason for that is I'm wondering if that is because our goal is to have that to be a built path, not just a open space in the woods. And Lunenburg has a lot of open space, but there's not a lot of open space that people that have, difficulty walking, that it's friendly to them. So
Mhm.
my vision was that this was a path that was more accessible than just a
Mhm.
nature path. So if there's anything we can do to accomplish that, I
Mhm.
think it'll be a positive, especially for our seniors. I do envision a lot of our seniors coming and parking there, using the parking and going for a walk. And it'll be wonderful if they have ways to get there and, perhaps even get down by the pond. I don't know how feasible that is,
Mhm.
but maybe one of the two will be more friendly to that with less of a
Yeah.
slope. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Those
And,
are my only
And
questions. So
sorry, Anna,
go
we do
ahead.
have a 375-foot center field for the 90-foot diamond.
What is it? 375?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. And I think Chris Ruth, I think your dad had said 350, right?
I'll check with him and make sure, but it's 375 right now, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
We have 375 to center field and then 300 feet to each of the felt holes.
Okay. All right. Chris, if you could write that down and touch base with your
Cool.
dad.
Yeah, we actually have a dimensioned plan that we'll be providing as soon as we finish this meeting.
Okay.
So hopefully that will be helpful.
Okay.
Mhm.
And if it's okay with you, I'll open to the public.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
One other question.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
Speaking of the 90-foot diamond, is that outfield, is that the measurements that is that feasible to hold more rectangular space fields? I think I might have emailed you at one point. Like there was someone in the survey pointed out the turf field that's in Malden, I think, that's a baseball field, but it's also lined for a soccer field or rectangular field. Is that still something is that space that's out there? Is that something that's feasible? I know that's a whole nother discussion in terms of
Yeah, we
space, but just trying to come up with ways in town because we are so short on rectangular field space that if there's a means of kind of multi-purposing that
Yeah.
outfield.
We can certainly take a look at the dimensions. My recollection from our sort of public process was that there was the shared field idea had some pros and cons, but we can certainly see if we can fit that in there. And
Yeah, so, and I don't mean to speak of it as like we're trying to displace something else, but I mean, I'm just trying to make sure we're doing everything we can to find as much space in town as we can to do that. And
we'll absolutely take a look.
The Malden space that I saw is at least worth, I don't know,
Yeah.
discussion perhaps. It was just kind of an interesting sort of deal to see. It's would allow for longer use, more use, that sort of deal. So, okay.
Yeah. We'll take a look at the dimensions and see what we can come up with.
Okay. Chris Ruth, do you have any questions, comments?
To be perfectly honest, I'm hoping Catherine's gonna send us these files at the end of the meeting so I can really do a deep dive.
Okay.
I have some thoughts, but I don't wanna waste everyone's time till I can really zoom in and look at the whole set. So,
Okay, is there any high level thoughts before you start diving in too much? Or,
no, just kind of logistics and I just, I'm looking at it on a little laptop screen here, so, the
Okay.
softball field right now is about the size of a quarter, so
okay, fair
only
enough.
so much I can see, but I'll review it as soon as Catherine sends them over and, I'll send all my comments off to the whole commission and let them, let you guys look at it and discuss.
Okay,
Great.
thank you. Angela, do you have anything or you're? Oh,
Sorry, hold on.
no, that's okay.
No,
All right.
I don't have any questions as of right now.
Okay, so I know Anthony wanted to speak, and if there is anyone else who from the public that would like to speak, if you could raise your hand on Zoom, it'll make it easier for us to manage. But Anthony, why don't you go ahead?
I'm actually all set. What Karen said was exactly what I was going to say, so I'm good.
Oh, okay. Well, that
Yep.
was easy.
Yeah, piece of cake. Great minds think alike.
Okay. Anyone else from the public that have any questions about the overall design or what Catherine has presented?
I
Okay.
do, but I can't figure out how to raise my hand.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell us your name and ask your questions?
My name is Thomas LaFord. I've been a Lunenburg resident since 1999. My first question regarding the gravel parking lot section. Why does it stop so far from the road rather than adding in another 10, 15 or more parking spaces by bringing it up closer to the Mass Ave?
Nick, I believe it has to do with the stormwater and grading, but maybe Nick can shed a little more light on that.
Yeah, I was holding off to answer this, but I think when I give you the stormwater overview, a lot of these questions about that parking lot will be answered. So I don't know if you want to wait until after I give you the engineering rundown on it before we answer those questions, but I hear a lot about this gravel lot that I will clarify.
Sure, that sounds good. Is that okay, Tom? So maybe we'll circle back in that question after the next phase of the presentation.
I do have one more question
Sure.
on a different topic.
Go for it.
Has any thought been given yet to web cameras or security cameras at different points? Web cameras, just because having a web camera overlooking the wetlands would be really interesting, but more so having security cameras in the area. If organizations are storing equipment there and there's a concession stand which may or may not have product or cash on premises, not to mention individual safety. I didn't know, I wanted to ask if any thought had been given yet to, like I said, to security or other type of cameras.
Not.
Do you want to take that, Catherine, and do you want me to take a first
Sure.
stab?
I mean, we hadn't considered that yet. It's a little, we're sort of still working through the overall layout and getting those sort of larger things squared away. But I don't know if the commission, is that something that you'd be interested in, Anna?
Yeah, so what I was gonna tell Tom is that, we are in the first phase of the engineering, which is what you said, the large scale design. And there will be a next phase where, we start deciding on the smaller details of engineering, such as, double sink or single sink, automatic doors for the bathrooms or not. But that would be sort of decided and talked about it on the next phase. But Chris, who is our facilities director, him and I have spoken casually about security concerns, especially regarding the bathroom and everything, and especially having the vandalism that we had at the Little League field last fall. Security is definitely going to be a concern and something that we will address, but it will be on the next phase of the engineering and the engineering phase.
I don't know if I can add a little too.
Yeah, please, Chris, go ahead.
Tom, as far as infrastructure goes, it's my plan to make sure we have, power and data fed at the very least into the concession area. So we have the ability to, once we have data there, we can put up cameras as we need to. I hadn't really thought about, out into the wetlands area, but it's certainly a facilities concern to make sure we have some control over that and have the ability to see what's going on. So.
That was something the chief of police and I had talked about when we first approached about the vandalism we had, or the graffiti and so forth, was our abilities to install that kind of stuff over there. The police don't have the tools there to do that now, but certainly something that I think is on everyone's concern and radar to make sure it's a safe space for everybody.
Okay. Anyone else from the public who would like to ask a question or make a comment?
I have a comment to relay.
Sure.
300 feet to the foul ball poles is a little short from what I'm being told. It should be about 325. Is a comment that I've been asked to pass along.
Okay.
Not sure if we can shift the field a little bit. 25 feet's not a ton, but it is a tight space.
Yeah, I know that we were meeting the NFHS, but we can certainly see what we can accommodate. Yeah. Yep. We'll take a look.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, if no one else has any questions about this part, we'll maybe continue with our presentation. Catherine, if you want.
Great, sure. So let's see. So
A quick thing about the foul lines, the pesky pole is only 302 feet from home plate, so 300's not so bad.
Fair.
So we are going to start sort of moving through our technical drawings. And I think, Nick, do you want to share your screen and sort of first go through the civil drawings? And then we'll sort of walk through the landscape plans. Does that make sense, Nick?
Yeah, I think that works. I only have 4 sheets because I'm really only focused
Great.
on the water piece. So I can share my screen there. You guys see that all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, a lot of questions about this, then kind of the reconfigured parking layout, why gravel, why the dead end. A lot of that is a direct result of meeting DEP stormwater standards, which is what drives kind of site development in Massachusetts. So I don't want to go too deep into technical details on how we come up with the numbers that we come up with, but essentially at a high level, you have your site in its current condition, and there's either an impervious surface or a pervious. Impervious is things like pavement, roofs, concrete, walkways, things like that, where water does not penetrate. And then you have your pervious surfaces, which are your woods, your lawn, your grass. And when you kind of model the entire site using rainfall data for over 2-year, 10-year, 100-year storm events, it gives you a number for how much water is leaving the site, how much water is staying on the site. And the whole DEP standard is to basically match the pre-existing conditions in your post-development. So in our case, we have a pre-existing condition of X, and in our proposed development, no matter what we do, we have to meet that same volume of water, recharge all of these standards to make sure that we're not adding additional stormwater runoff to the adjacent sites. So we've gone through this design and kind of iterations of this parking layout quite a few times now. We're trying to keep the existing road. The new road would be over the existing road, and that helps us with, again, meeting that pre and post stormwater runoff. The reason for the gravel parking lot was because gravel is considered less impervious than asphalt. So it gives you a lower volume of stormwater that would potentially be running off, which means that your systems to capture that stormwater can be smaller and smaller and smaller. There are other benefits, but again, I don't want to get too detailed to it. So by creating that overflow parking lot as a gravel lot, again, we're reducing the volume of stormwater that we have to handle. And given the high ledge and the shallow groundwater that we found on site, it's very challenging to handle that amount of stormwater in such kind of a confined, that narrow entrance to the park. So what you see here is the entrance road off of Mass Ave, which would be, like Catherine said, a two-way. That would be just bituminous asphalt, your standard pavement. We're kind of using that wall that exists. There's the opening up here, the existing wall. You can just see at the top of the screen here. That's kind of a natural high point of the site. So we're taking everything to the south side or the Mass Ave side of that, and we're capturing that as one treatment area. So the water will kind of shed from that wall back down towards Mass Ave over this gravel parking lot, get captured in this is a swale, just some grading, the topography. It enters into the stormwater basin, which again is just a shallow basin that can be planted. So it could look like a rain garden with pollinator species, whatever you need. It enters into an overflow structure, would go underground into this purple box, which is a subsurface chamber system, which is basically like creating an engineered storage tank underneath your parking area that can handle that volume of water. Because of the high ledge, we're not able to get recharge, which means that we have to be able to basically impound 100-year storm worth of water in this chamber system under the parking lot. So it gets quite large, quite fast when you talk about that much impervious area. And when I say chamber system, just so everyone knows, you're looking at something like this, which is again buried below the surface. This would be your parking lot up here. These big kind of arc domes are set underneath on a bed of stone, and the water, it basically creates a void space for the water to go, so it can hold the volume of water underneath your parking lot. The grading is, the proposed grading would be the dark lines with these contour labels marked, and they tie into the dash lines, which are the existing contours. So we're not really changing the slope of the road entrance, which is nice. We do have to mound up the parking lot a little bit. Again, it's all relative to getting separation to groundwater, which is quite high. So this side over here, you can see what a steeper slope would be, a 2-to-1 slope of off grading to mound up the system so we can get that proper separation. Kind of moving into the park again, that existing stone wall is the high point. So now that we're on the north side of that wall, we're pushing water back into the park. We're using topography to our advantage here to direct it to a catch basin, which would go over to a water quality unit, which is required to get your TSS removal. And then that would be piped underground into a stormwater basin, again, similar, a shallow depression that will fill up with water during the large storm events. And over the course of 72 hours, that water will just infiltrate into the ground kind of naturally. We have been in discussions with Greg Roy. He was proposing some stormwater treatment over there for the skate park, which you can see right here. We've pretty much come to an agreement that we need to combine our stormwater efforts, and we need to make sure that whatever his approach is what our approach is, because DEP will view this project as kind of in its totality. So we have to make sure that those efforts are coordinated. So we're actually still working through the stormwater design, and he's going to do some groundwater modeling for us, and we're going to kind of do a little give and take, which I think will result in a better end product for everyone. Again, the purple up here, this is the sports court. So that will be an impervious area. It's going to be graded slightly towards the wetland here with a, a very flat pitch that wouldn't be perceivable, but just enough for water to not pond. And then the purple line kind of on the east and south side of the court would be a trench drain that captures the water and again sends it back into a system that's buried below the court. Because we're building up a wall there to make that grading work, we're essentially mounting the system and we can get our groundwater separation in that location. So similar system to what's under the parking lot, but it's able to handle that large storm event. As far as the grading, all the pathways are graded at the 4% to get the accessibility. Parking lots are 2% for the most part, which is pretty flat, but that's what's required for handicap spaces. You can go up to 5%, but it was easier just to carry 2% across the whole lot. The lawn area and the play space up here would be about as flat as we can make it. So that's, again, closer to that 2%, which is almost imperceivable. If you're out in the field, you wouldn't notice a 2% slope. You do have to catch the grades because the park kind of falls away towards the wetlands. So there is a steep slope here. And these contours are kind of just roughed in to show that they can tie into the skate park. Again, we've worked with Greg on how he actually needs it to tie in. As long as we leave him these kind of loose ends that he can work with, he seemed to be able to make it work. So that's kind of how that works around the skate park. The center of the park, there will be, there's a pretty good amount of impervious area over here. So we'll probably introduce another system. If it's not a shallow basin, it'll be a subsurface system, but I'm guessing it'll probably be shallow basins just because of, again, how high the groundwater was when we found it. Other than that, the fields have very specific grading. Outfields are typically 1.25% to 1.5%, and then as soon as you hit the infield to home plate, it drops down to 1% or 0.5%. So those are fairly specific grading. We kind of left the general for now until we know the surrounding areas, how it's going to tie in before we set the grades of the field. Overall, a general approach, knowing that there's high ledge and shallow groundwater, we're favoring fill. So we're not trying to get a ridiculous amount of fill, but if we're a foot or two above the existing grade, that's going to help us in the long run because we know that we don't have much room to go down. So we're favoring fill. And this was kind of a redesign driven by the stormwater requirements. This would be the Chestnut Street lot. Originally, we were going to try and drop the parking down and capture the stormwater with shallow surface basins. You can see these TP5, TP6, TP7, these little symbols right here are test pits that we went out there and dug. TP5, we basically found what looks to be a pond, 18 inches below the grass surface. So we had to abandon our original idea of a surface detention basin, and we had to find a way to mount up the system to get separation from that groundwater. So to solve that challenge, we're proposing that we would drive in to this parking lot at the existing grade of the road and mount this entire parking area up at 4 or 5, I think it's 5 feet total, which again allows us to get that separation. So the purple chamber system again could be buried below that parking lot. The stormwater is directed to a catch basin into the chamber system, and then that chamber system sits 4 feet above your groundwater, which is a requirement to get your DEP standards met. The ramps that we talked about again was able to hold at 4%. So technically, it's not a ramp; it's a sloped walk. So you don't need the landings every 50 feet. So the handicap space would be on this side, and this would slope down. You have stairs here for everyone else, and that would kind of get you back down to grade where you'd be at the elevation of the baseball field and that walking path. We talked about, one concern that the team bounced around was, is it possible to get, sorry, my mouse's battery is dying here. We're thinking of this access, that's about 15 or 16 feet wide. So if we needed to make some sort of emergency vehicle access, we could get it down here at a reasonable slope. That way, if an ambulance or someone needed to drive down to the field, they could kind of bypass the parking lot and just drive down the grass. They have plastic grid systems that you put down in the grass to make sure that they can take the weight of the trucks. What else do I have for grading? Yeah, so it's really just tying everything in. Once we set our elevations, that'll dictate the baseball field elevations. Again, favoring fill. I also dropped in the it's hard to see. This is the proposed septic system that was designed by Greg Roy. And that's the actual location. So you can see that the proposed bathrooms over here, it would be a simple connection. This is the chamber system for the septic. So if we wanted to go with the septic route, you could just tie in to that pretty easily and it wouldn't require much redesign to make that work. What else? Did I answer enough questions about the parking area, or did you want to go back to that? And the reason, Karen's question about why can't we make this connect? I think one option was to just go straight, and the other option was to curl back, which is what we kind of originally had to curl down here. Again, you're adding impervious area, and you're taking up the space that we need for stormwater. So it's a balancing act between what can I fit, knowing that I need to capture stormwater. So every time I add 10 spaces, my basin gets bigger. So I'm actually losing more space than just what I would be giving away to the parking. So it's kind of this balancing act to make sure that you can still capture that stormwater. One thing that I should note is that all these systems currently are designed assuming that we have to capture 100% of the stormwater. So like I said, when I first started, you have your precondition and your post-condition, and you only have to meet your precondition. So to get that number, we have to basically model the existing conditions to come up with how much water we can let go. And that will start to shrink these basins, but to be conservative, and because we don't have that modeled, these systems are sized to capture everything. So they will get smaller. I can't say how much smaller, but they will be smaller because these are the conservative sized systems based off of capturing 100%.
Okay, so I'll open to the commissioners first, if anybody has any questions.
So I guess
Chris?
look at that and going off of Karen's comment of like a turnaround, not someone getting stuck down there at the end of that lot. Is there a way of tweaking the end of that gravel lot slightly to create an easier turnaround for someone that drives that way and there's no parking spots down there kind of thing? You know, obviously, you know, something to look at.
Yeah, I think one thing that we've seen in some designs has been to stripe, kind of mark out these last two spots. And so they have a spot that can always be accessible to pull in, and then you back up and pull out. You obviously would lose 2 spaces. So maybe we might be able to add 2 spaces and then mark them out as just turning spaces only.
Cool.
Okay. All right, Karen and Colleen, do you guys have
I'm good.
anything?
It made sense to me what Nick explained, so it does make sense.
Okay.
You know, I guess I just worry about people backing up, you know, getting down there and getting stuck and that sort
Right.
of thing. If we can't avoid it, we can't avoid it.
Right, but it sounds like we might be able to stripe, you know, even just striking the last 2 spots to allow for people to turn around. That's good. That's a minor modification that I think will still give us the count.
Yeah.
So Nick, my question about all these underground stormwater reservoirs, if you will, is the connection between the basin and the reservoirs. What kind of maintenance they exist? You know, we have a big problem in town of construction that happened maybe in the early 2000s that now we have some people down the road that the system got clogged and nobody can fix it. They're gonna have to come up with a whole new way. So these things in the ground, that's how difficult are they to maintain? You know, if you could speak to that a little bit, I would
Yeah.
appreciate.
Yeah, so maintenance is always an issue, you know, with every system, and every stormwater EMP has some level of maintenance that is required. So the system itself, the chamber system itself, it's rare that fails that quickly. What would happen, what we've seen happen is that, you know, your clog will happen in this inlet, and then as soon as the inlet gets clogged, you'll know, and then you kind of alleviate it from the source of where it enters. The systems themselves are only susceptible to the water that gets into them, so it doesn't really seem to clog the systems. One benefit to keeping this as a gravel lot is if you ever did need to go in and clean up the chamber system, it's a lot cheaper and easier to rip up the gravel than it would be to rip up pavement and have to repave after you're done. So we try and always locate these things when possible, which is not always, in areas that we think could be accessible if that ever were to happen. But like I said, most times these are always under driveways or something, so it can be challenging. Part of
What's
the DEP does require you to submit your operations and maintenance for approval. So
Okay.
I'm not gonna say there isn't maintenance, but it's not terrible.
Okay. And what is the life expectancy of that chamber system?
I honestly don't know. A long time.
Okay. Is it more than 20 years?
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, are you talking about the material itself or just like the functionality in general or?
Well, I'm thinking, I mean, the closest thing I can think of, and remember, I'm not an engineer, is a septic system that doesn't last forever. Usually after 30 years, you can expect to have to put in a new septic system, and it just, I don't know. So that's what I'm envisioning is, something within a 30-year will need to be replaced. I know sediment will build up. I don't know.
So, Anna, if I can touch base a little on this, I've put quite a few of these systems in over the years. They work quite well. Typically, before final drawings are even accepted for permitting, there's got to be a maintenance plan in there, and typically we end up legally owing the DEP maintenance records and all kinds of stuff, and they have clean out ports in the tops of these chamber
Okay.
systems, and if they're maintained correctly, they'll outlast all of us.
Okay. Okay, that's good. The other question that I have about this phase is because there's so much ledge there and the water table is so high, bringing in sewer and water through the Mass Ave entrance. Has that been calculated, looked into it? What's the status on that?
I know we talked about that as an option. I mean, they certainly do it. I think it would become kind of just your appetite for the expense, because my guess is that it's going to be ledge pretty much from Mass Ave into wherever you're going. So they definitely can lay pipe, but they would have to go in and basically blast out the trench to put the pipe in that. So your linear foot cost for that sewer connection gets pretty expensive going through all that ledge, but it can be done. We can show it, and then when we get further along, if we want to do a kind of a cost comparative analysis to see just how much that would cost, so you can make a better informed decision, I think that's probably the best approach.
So what would be the alternative? Because when we talked about using the septic, where the one that we have the drawing, it would have a lot of challenge for the bathroom there on the pavilion. What would be our options on that case then?
Yeah, as far as the septic design, I'd have to go back and see what exactly the design flows were for the system to see if it, is it based off of 1 bathroom, 2 bathrooms, how many users per day, all that stuff. If possible, I don't know if that system could be upsized at all. I think I'd have to have a discussion with Greg just about, did he max it out to capacity, or is this something that we could add, a pump chamber to and a second feed. Short of that, you have the expensive sewer connection, and short of that, I think, you're looking at like a tight tank, in my opinion.
Nick,
Yeah.
another option too would be, a low pressure ejector system, and then you're running a much smaller line. You don't have to be nearly as deep to deal with grades.
Right.
You're running into a $70,000 or $80,000 ejector system, but you probably save that in the blasting costs.
Right. So there are options, and I think just a comparative analysis between all of them would be the best bet. My septic knowledge is probably less than Chris Ruth's, so.
Okay. All right. So that is this phase right now, we're not looking into that, but we know of some options.
Yeah, we can show it for a distance, so I can just give you a linear foot of how far it would take to get you a pipe there, and then we can use that for our number.
Okay.
The layouts for those are pretty straightforward. It's going to be the straightest possible line we can do to get from point A to
Okay.
point B.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
provide that to you.
All right. So does any other commission have any other questions? No? Okay. Chris, do you have the floor? Do you have Chris Ruth? Questions, comments, concerns?
At this time,
point-
I don't have anything. It seems like they've got a pretty good plan with the chamber systems and containing it all, so I don't see anything that jumps out at me. My
Okay.
only thought was in that gravel parking lot area, you know, if people are concerned about the striping, is we could probably lay some sort of those pavers that are designed to have grass that grow through them to at least mark out the lines. You know, that way you're not worried about people kind of parking wherever they want.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. We assumed gravel. That also could be a grass paved system where, again, you have this rigid plastic kind of structure underneath the grass, but then you seed it like grass and it looks like grass, but you can park on it and it can take the loading of a vehicle. That buys you a lot more credit as far as stormwater because that grass is considered more permeable than gravel even. So if that's something that you guys would like to, I guess, investigate a little bit more, that ultimately reduces the size of your systems because less of that water is running off of that surface. So we show gravel, but it could be a grass paved system.
Okay. All right. Any member of the public that would like to talk, and we'll take a question. If there are many, please raise your hand using Zoom. Any member of the public with any questions? Doesn't seem like. All right. Okay. Well, Catherine, you have the presentation again. It's
All
yours.
right, great, thank you. Let me share my screen. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So the first there are three drawing set or three chapters in our drawing set. The first is the site preparation plan. And this is a look at the overall site prep, which is the demolition of the existing facilities at Marshall Park as needed. So what this does is it identifies whether things are to remain or to be removed or to be stockpiled and protected for reuse. So I'll just zoom in a little here. Essentially, we've identified all of the above grade elements in the park and identified, for instance, flagpole to be removed, fence to be removed, dugouts to be removed, potentially stockpiled for reuse, memorial sign and bench to be removed and stockpiled for reuse, typical of all memorials. So we're basically identifying those elements and what happens to them. We've also provided some protective fencing around existing trees that are to remain, and also around, for example, the WPA wall here, with fencing around it as we can within the limits of construction. We've also identified trees to be removed, largely due to grading or the new layout. And those are trees that are identified with an X through them. And they're all labeled and with a dashed line around them. Those trees that are to remain are currently shown as symbols from the survey. So essentially, this is sort of the northern portion of the park. And we'll send these drawings along to everybody. We've identified that we have construction fencing to protect the existing Little League field so that we won't incur or sort of trespass on that or cause any damage to the field. Here we are at the southern end of the park with playground equipment. the existing T-ball field and the gravel drive that surrounds the end of the Little League field. We've identified our wetland buffers and delineated wetlands. And then again called for a wall to be removed, a portion of it, to get that new parking in there, as well as the entry drive. And then moving down south, we've identified trees to be removed to accommodate our new parking, as well as the Marshall Park sign and memorial to be removed and stockpiled for reuse. So sort of an overall site preparation plan. Then we roll into the Highland Street portion, where we've called for paving to be removed and then replaced with new parallel parking spaces along the property line. Because the park is so large, we have a number of sheets laid out to make it more legible and more detailed for contractors. Setting that up is an important part of the schematic design process. So as we move through, we'll look at the sheets and they will each be labeled, and I'll call out those labels as we move through them. But this is sort of to give you a sense of the overall park design and how it relates to the sheet setup. And then moving in, as part of layout and materials, we begin identifying materials and also establishing general dimensions to make sure that we have adequate information for the sort of development of documents and pricing down the line. So we enter and we've got concrete for the walkways, for pedestrian walkways. And then we have a bituminous asphalt surfacing for the entry drive and parking. Here, as we've just talked about, we have a pervious surface, perhaps gravel, perhaps the pervious grid with lawn in it, but it is called out as a pervious parking surface with a clean edge at the transition to bituminous asphalt. Next, we move further into the park so we can see where we just were down in 201. So we've got the bituminous asphalt entry drive and everyday parking surfaces. We've provided a storage shed for park maintenance to use, as well as a corral for the dumpsters. Moving through, we have the skate park footprint, as well as the concession stand with the restroom facilities and a hip roof pavilion. Moving over, we've begun to identify widths for parking stalls, as well as for pathways, which are typically 8 feet throughout the park. We've begun calling out all of the materials and supplies necessary for the basketball court, as well as the 3 pickleball courts with fencing and gates for access. We've identified a poured in place rubber surface for the play area. Oops. We have our observation deck up by the pond with our walking trail. Oops. And then we move back into the park to the softball field and the 90-foot baseball diamond. And Chris, we'll send these along right after the meeting this evening, but we've begun identifying all of the dimensions called for in the National Federation of High School Associations. So for softball, we have a 200-foot outfield. And then we have our foul poles. Let's see. Whoops. Sorry, everyone. It's a big set.
It's a big park.
Yeah, I know. So let's see. My apologies. There we go. All right. So here we are, and we have our sort of 60-foot infield. And then we've dimensioned and called out general materials without getting too specific, and that will be sort of part of the next phase as we proceed on to the 100% schematic design. We've got a concrete surface in here where we have bleachers for both the 90-foot diamond and for the softball field. We also have our dugouts for both. Moving north, we've called for 300-foot foul poles for the 90-foot diamond, and we'll see if we can expand that, Chris, to 325. We may not be able to for both, but we may be able to for at least one, but we'll double check on that. We have the requisite 50-foot backstop. We've incorporated the Jason Montgomery Rogers Memorial Scoreboard. So this is where we're really kind of starting to get a little more detailed and making sure that things are accommodated and included. So once you have a chance to look at these, we welcome your comments if anything has mistakenly been omitted or if there are adjustments that need to be made.
Okay.
We do not have much work going on out sort of in the wetland aside from the walking path. And then as we move north, here we are at the 90-foot diamond and the Chestnut Street parking lot. And here we have our fencing as well as our concrete walkway with the parking lot that Nick has discussed. And then moving over to the dog park, we've made use of that existing footprint and walls. We've got a smaller dog area and a larger dog area. They're separated with a 5-foot high chain link fence. And we have a baffled entry with dog waste stations and dog water stations in each area, as well as some picnic tables and chain link sort of protective barriers for proposed trees. And we'll get there shortly. Up at Highland, we've called for 5 parallel parking spaces, as well as a bituminous concrete walkway that takes you over to a stabilized decomposed granite surface for picnic, as well as a pavilion with a concrete pad underneath and a picnic table which sort of overlooks Marshall Pond.
May I
And
ask you,
then-
when you say pavilion, I'm sorry for interrupting,
Yeah, of course.
is a just sort of a pad or is a like,
It's a concrete pad with like an overhead structure, sort
Okay.
of like the picnic pavilion over
Okay.
at the main park area, but much smaller.
okay, is that, do you know the distance between that and the pond?
Well, I think it's just over 50 feet, it looks like 55
Okay.
feet.
Okay,
Mhm.
good. I think they have a 30 feet, no structure zone.
Yeah, oh, so this is the 30-foot and
Okay.
this is foot. So
Oh,
we've
awesome.
So we've worked to sort of locate things as far as is practicable outside of the wetland buffers.
Perfect.
At
Okay,
least is in the outer 50. Yeah.
love that. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So next up, we have our planting and lighting overall plan. And this is something that, as we were talking earlier about safety for the park, I wanted to bring up to sort of get the commission's feedback in terms of lighting. So we had proposed some lighting along the main entry drive and then in the parking lot area for both the Mass Ave lot and the Chestnut Street lot. And I did not know whether you would also like lighting in the interior portions of the park and what parts that might be. Like, I know that in our conversation with the skate park folks, there had been emphasis that you did not want the skate park lit at night. So I just, that's something where we'd love to understand a little more about, your goals, and definitely understand that you may need to talk about this, but it's something that came up as we were putting sort of concept lighting design together.
Okay. So so I think that's probably a discussion, and we have a big agenda today. My question for you is, if we were to schedule, and it might even be because this is in the agenda, so we technically could discuss today.
We don't have to.
Have it today, okay? Because
Yeah.
maybe we'll have a chance to speak. Let me ask you something. You proposing lighting where the circles are, or are those trees?
Yeah, so we'll zoom in a little bit.
Okay.
So what we've got is these circles are canopy trees. And this is very like high level planting and lighting
Right.
design at this point. So the larger circles are the canopy trees. These are 40 feet. Smaller circles are 20-foot understory trees.
Okay.
And then we've got light poles, and we've proposed two
gotcha.
kinds. So here we have 15-foot poles so that we're throwing less light towards the wetlands. And then in this larger, wider parking area, we've got 25-foot poles so that you get more beam spread with less poles. The less fixtures you have, the more economical it is. So we're really just looking to understand a little more about what lighting makes the most sense for the ways that and the times of day that you would like people to use the park.
Okay.
So this is like a starting point.
No, that's perfect. The question that I have, these lighting poles, are these lights always on, or can these be timed?
Yeah, no, these would be on, they can actually be on photovoltaics or photo sensors so that they go on, at dusk every day.
Okay.
And you can customize it and change it. You can have it on a timer. There are any number of ways that you can arrange the lighting system.
Okay. And then bringing lighting into the park, would that add a lot to the infrastructure of the park? Can you elaborate a little bit? Because we could like come up with great ideas, but that might be something that'll be driving up the cost a lot, or so.
Lighting, yes. So lighting can certainly bring up the cost very quickly. We try to judiciously use lights as needed for safety. In terms of the actual sort of infrastructure, we clearly, we would need to have lines brought in from the street, but once they're in there, providing line voltage, I can't speak precisely to cost, but it is something to consider. I know that our cost estimator did carry some line item for lighting. So it's, it can bring up the cost, yes.
Okay.
And the further you kind of go in and the further you run your lines, the more expensive it gets.
Okay.
So on a good compromise with this that we've done in the past is during the construction, you put all the conduits in, so you don't have to dig again later. And if we don't have the money now, we could add lights later on because the conduit's there and you can just pull the wire underground is typically the best way to handle something like that.
Oh, and that would be for inside the park, you're saying, Chris?
Yeah, we could run the conduits, all over the place for significantly less money than installing the lights, and then kind of pick and choose where you want them afterwards because you have those conduits underground to run the wire through.
Okay. All right. So sounds good. Okay, so it sounds like this is something we have a little bit of time to discuss and get back to you as a high level. Okay.
Yeah. So that's, there are proposed trees throughout that we're working on, but really the high level lighting is kind of what we wanted to run past you tonight and get your comments on it. We did not include lighting at Highland Street, sort of focusing it on the main park, but if that's something that you'd like, we can certainly incorporate that.
There is actually a light post at the bottom of like right where the parking spots are. And one thing, I wouldn't want to add a lot of lighting here. We don't have street lighting. And since the parking is going to be right on the street, my opinion, and I'll open to the public, to the other commissioners, is that I don't think we need lighting here per se, and the where the pavilion is going to be fairly open and exposed to, we wouldn't have safety concerns. And even the one on Chestnut, I would think we'd wanted those to be sort of in a timer, because it's actually a fairly dense area with houses. I'm not sure we would want to have the light pollution on all night, but that's my first thought. But maybe the
And-
other commissions have any thoughts?
Yeah, and
go
one
ahead.
thing to note is that the lights, while they can be on sensors to turn on, they can also be timed to turn off. So perhaps you want them turned, there are a number of ways that this can be done, but there are automatic shutoffs
Okay.
for lighting. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah,
I'd be less concerned about the lighting on the Chestnut side probably, and just concern of neighbors and so forth. Over there, it is a more residential side. The Mass Ave side is off the street, not as highly visible.
right.
Mhm.
The Chestnut side is pretty, and in particular where it's going to be at road level, that's a, very easily visible area. So I'd probably be less concerned about it over there. But I would certainly want to talk with residents in that area before we entertain that piece there.
Probably be pretty heavily restricted by zoning as well. I have yet to find a town that didn't have rules governing when lights could be on and off, so we'll have to check with the zoning department too to make sure we're comply with their regulations.
And I agree with what Chris just said, and Anna. I don't see much of a need or interest in lighting over on Highland. The Chestnut Street, I too worry about the neighbors where it's such a residential road.
Okay, yep.
And certainly be more interested in it over off of Mass Ave. I guess I'm more worried about light pollution all night long. But I mean, if for security reasons it would, somebody recommends that we have lights there all night long, then, that would be a consideration, but I don't think Chestnut and Highland Street are, necessary per se.
Maybe one of us can take this this drawing to the chief of police and ask his opinion. And since we have the marking where the stone wall is, it'll kind of help him have a vision, because I think that would be an important feedback.
Mhm.
We can discuss if any one of us want to take it there. I can if we don't have
I
any
don't
other
mind,
volunteers.
I don't mind doing it.
Okay. Because I think his feedback, especially on that, on the Mass Ave entrance, I think will be the most important one.
Mhm.
Because all the other parking areas are exposed. Okay. Any other comment from any commission about the lighting? No, okay. Any member of the public would like to make a comment about, or Chris and Chris Ruth as well, and Angela, about lighting?
Tom has a
outside?
hand up.
Tom, okay, Tom,
Figured out how to raise his hand. Good job, Tom.
good job. Well, thank you for saying that. I didn't see that. Okay, Tom, please.
Thank you. One quick question about the lighting.
Mhm.
Is it designed to shine down only and therefore reduce the light pollution?
Ideally, yes. We anticipate that these would be downlights, yes,
Thank you.
of course.
Okay. Anyone else with I'm not seeing the hands up.
There's nobody else on with a hand up.
Okay. All right. Okay, Catherine, you may proceed if you.
Oh,
Okay, that was
actually,
it.
that was, sorry.
Okay.
That
So I have
was the end of my presentation, yeah.
okay, I have a couple questions, and then and if any other member has the cave. Where is the cave located on this drawing?
Hold on. I'm gonna
bunker?
zip back up to the
Bunker?
layout and materials plan.
Okay.
So Sorry, one moment. Okay, whoops. Here we are. Ugh. I'm so sorry.
That's
It's like-
okay.
It's like, how many years are we into Zoom? All right. So the cave is right in here. It's
Okay.
sort of northwest of the existing Little League field, right up in
Oh.
this area.
And on the new plan, where is that located? On the new design?
Because it's underground, we do not have it on the layout
Well,
plan,
oh, okay. But do you
but
know
it
where
is-
more or less
it
where the
is
entrance is?
right up in here. Yeah.
Okay.
See where this, it's kind of, we got it roughed in from the surveyor. It's right in here.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, and that, interesting. So that path, and again, I don't know how to read these things. It looks to be on, as if it was on top of it, right?
Yes,
And
that
not
is correct.
and not below, like if there is not a slope and on, okay, I think that answers. Okay. Have you had any thoughts about if there's a way for us to expose some of what's in there? Because it's beautiful stonework, I'll tell you.
Mhm.
And I know Chris did do the cement.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
and we might be early, but seeing that this is running over it, is there anything that we can do that you can imagine us doing?
So I think that it's largely dependent on the grading that we come up with
Okay,
to provide the flat area for the 90-foot diamond and to
okay,
provide the accessible path, the route.
okay,
So that's really, this will come down to a finer scale of grading
Okay.
that we are at the 50% mark.
okay,
That being said, it's maybe possible to keep it. It may not be possible, we're not sure. If
Okay.
it's not possible, we can certainly try to excavate and reuse the stone in a wall on site or as part of the sort of site furnishings for the site. So I think there's a number of ways to approach it, and it really just depends on where we end up with our grading.
okay, that's fair. That answered my question. Okay.
Yep.
Does any other commission has any questions, any comments about this presentation so far?
Nope.
That's my question. I was gonna ask about the bunker.
Okay. All right, Chris, do you have anything else? And I know you can't wait to get your hands on these plans and start digging into everything, but Chris, Ruth, do you have anything?
Not at the moment. I'm very much a detail guy, so I think you guys have done a fantastic job so far. So if I pick anything apart later on, please just know I think you've done a great job so far. I just
We consider it a compliment, Chris.
in my previous life, I was the one bidding this and looking for holes, where it is public work. I try to make the plans encapsulate every last little detail because I'd prefer not to get killed on change orders in the back half of it. So
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Catherine, therefore, where do we go from here?
Well, we will email these to you as soon as we sort of hang up.
Okay.
And then we have enough comments that we can begin working on incorporating some of the feedback that we've gotten tonight. So we'll be continuing to develop these drawings in greater detail in
Okay.
terms of the grading, in terms of the planting, and in terms of refining the demo plan. We'd love to set up a meeting with you in the next week or two to get any additional feedback that you have once you've had a chance to look at the drawings more closely.
Okay.
And then from there, we're hoping to have these to you sort of mid-June so that you have them in time for any of your deadlines. And we can talk about that in further detail, but
Okay.
that's the general plan for this.
Okay.
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
works for us. That gives us an idea of more or less a plan that we need to create for ourselves here.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Well,
thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. And I'll give one last chance if anyone has any other questions or comments for this group, for the design team. No? Okay. So thank you so much and have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was, I mean, it was well detailed, but it did take long. So, because we have Chris, and I know we have a few people here that are here for a subject, but maybe Chris and Angela will have a quick update for us, and maybe after that we can, yes, Karen.
I just gave our middle school crew a 10-minute note, heads up.
Okay, so Chris and Angela, you got 10 minutes.
Well, I don't have any major updates from the last meeting. The only quick ones I have is on the 90-foot diamond at Marshall, we have the net up. We still have to install the pulley system, but as of right now, the net is functional. And the only other one I had was, I guess, two other things. I've been assured by the landscapers that everything in town will be mowed on Friday before Memorial Day stuff for the weekend. And we are working on the new stand for the beach, but our 3-year conservation permit has expired, so I'm waiting on conservation at the moment before we can proceed.
Okay. Are they gonna, for the Veterans Park, are they gonna do that extra work?
He is going to confirm, but the plan is to get that all done on Friday.
Okay.
He
Okay.
doesn't think he has any staff willing to work on Saturday to get it done, so right now we're shooting for getting it all cleaned up and looking great for Friday. So
Awesome.
I'll let you know tomorrow once I hear for sure.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions to Chris, any of the commissioners? No? All right. Okay. Angela, do you have an update for us?
Sure. So I did go through, we have 3 classes running so far for 3 of the camp type of activities. So we do have the numbers for 3 that are definitely running. So that includes the Snapology that's happening at the school, which they're letting us use one of those classrooms. And Chris did mention he got those tables as well, so that will be helpful. Other one that's running is Best Soccer, and then one of the MA Sports Leagues camps. So there's still room in every single one of them, but we at least have enough to run them. Other than that, we've sold a lot of beach memberships. Seems like mostly it's families. We have a few like individuals. So it's usually either families or seniors that it's kind of higher in numbers. So we don't have a ton of individual registrations as of right now for the memberships. And then swim lessons. So we definitely have a lot of swim lesson ones coming in. So we have right now registrations for all 3. So session 1, session 2, and then the Saturday session. I was tossing around the idea of adding a 3rd if we fill up a good amount of the session. So, I mean, we could obviously talk about that see if that's something we should be doing for a 3rd session. I think that's about it for me.
Angela, what's the deadline for registrations for the basketball camp to know if it's gonna run?
So I need to ask him exactly what he wants. I asked him to, so it's Isaiah who runs it. I asked him if he could spread the word and put it on his website, because I noticed right now they only have like their main camps that are on there. So they're not advertising for like the mini camps, which is what this counts as. So I'll send him a message and clarify with him and just see what he needed. I did send an email to everyone who's in the group right now, asking them if they have any suggestions or anyone who wants to join to just call or register. So I did that as well, hoping that turns out some more people.
Yeah, no, thank you for being proactive on that. I don't want to see it canceled at the last minute, so.
Right, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Chris Sullivan, do you have any questions for Chris or Angela? No? Okay,
I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
Thank you. Or Andrew,
Colleen.
did you,
Oh.
there was, sorry, I wanted, and I haven't seen details yet, but I know the varsity boys coach is planning that basketball camp, I think too. I don't know if, and I think you had said you had contact with him maybe or what, I don't know if there's anything to tie in there with him maybe or something like that.
I'm sorry, what, he's
There's
running a
basketball
basket.
camp for
camp.
that, I know is, I think it's gonna be July 10th. I haven't seen details yet.
Oh,
It's
okay.
through the boys varsity coaches. He's running a camp too. Basketball. I don't know
Oh,
any details
okay.
of it. I don't know.
And is that
anything
for
about it, but
older kids or for younger kids?
I don't know anything about it yet.
Yeah,
The clinics we've been running on Wednesday nights have been for like K through 8.
okay.
And they've been pretty well attended. They've been, we've had up to 60 kids there.
Oh, wow,
it's-
that's great.
it's
Hmm.
Maybe 25, with soccer and baseball now going on, the clinics have dropped, the attendance has dropped a little bit, but it's still been about 30 to 40 kids.
Wow.
Are you on those clinics, Chris?
I've been volunteering at the clinics that we've
Okay.
been doing, yeah.
If we give you the flyers for our camp, can you distribute that?
Yeah, I can have the guy that has the distribution list send it out.
That
Okay,
would be great.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Angela, if you print it,
Just send it to, there's not another clinic for another couple of weeks, but he has a distribution list. Of
Okay.
people that have participated in the camp, at least that initially signed up, so we can. So if you want to just email me a flyer and I'll send it over to Jared.
Okay, great.
Maybe next year we'll try to get on, like, our goal is to have offerings for the community. But if we have someone that's planning to run a camp, for basketball, maybe next year we'll not prioritize that. Like we actually added basketball because we know that is the town, we do have quite a few kids playing basketball. So then there's not a conflict and will give us an opportunity to maybe offer something else.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
did
know,
have
and then
a
maybe
parent
different
ask
date or
me.
whatever.
I had a parent ask me to run a camp for basketball. So that's
Mhm.
where the idea came
Right.
from.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the issue is a lot of parents are looking for a full day, week-long camp. And that's also what I discussed with the gentleman who runs the recreation program, is that was kind of his feedback as well, as that a lot of people are looking for full day, week-long, which they didn't offer. So that's a big part of the issue.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this for first year, this is really good. But that's good feedback. Okay. All right. Colleen, do you have any question for Chris or Angela?
Nope,
No,
I'm
that's
good.
good. All
I'm
right.
just listening. I'm listening tonight.
That's good. Okay. So well, if
Tom's
it's
got a
okay.
hand
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry. Tom
Thomas
has his
has
hand
a
up.
hand up.
Now I see it. Tom, go ahead.
You again. A basketball thing I wanted to let you know about. Chris Sullivan knows about it. He and I are members of the St. Boniface Knights of Columbus. And this year and the year before COVID, the Knights of Columbus hosted a free throw tournament. It starts locally, and the winners for each gender and age group proceed from the local to the regional to the states. And that happens usually in the fall or winter. And I would hope that in the upcoming year, we might be able to link up with the Parks Commission's list of basketball players, as well as the other group's list of players, to be able to get them something to do off season, as it were.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you basketball people heard about that. We had it in December and January, I think, but it's something I wanted to mention so that the basketball people might keep that in the back of their head, saying, oh, we have to watch out for that.
Yeah. And, Angela is our rec director. So whenever you want to do something and run, reach out to her. Her email address is posted on the website and also on our page on rec. So yeah, I would love to help as much as we can. And I hope I'm not speaking for Angela, but I think that's the overall
No.
sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
Okay.
you.
One of our guys did well too. He actually came home with a trophy going into the Central, I think it was the Central Mass
Nice.
deal, one of our 7th grade kids. So good.
Nice. Okay. I mean, if it's okay with everyone, I'll just say goodnight to Chris and Angela. And we can continue with the meeting. It's been already. All right.
Anna, not that I want to stay up all night on the meeting. Did you want to touch base on the beach house cleanup before Angela and I take off?
You know, I think, do you have anything new to add? Because
I don't have anything to add at the moment. I haven't had
Okay.
a chance to look at what we talked about earlier yet, so.
yeah, that's what I figure. I think we're gonna just run with that high level plan.
Okay.
And the details would really come from you and Angela. But we kind of made a list today of what needs to be there, like the 4 big items. And
Yep. Okay.
and you got, so we can nail down the details afterwards. So
You know, Chris, the 4 big items that we ambushed you with in the parking lot, you know, like.
I'll have to go back to using the
That-
back exit.
yeah.
You should.
So
All
yeah,
right, well,
now
we can touch base on that later on once we hammer
yeah,
out the details.
sounds
Awesome.
perfect. Thank you. Have a good night and thanks for joining us in this
you.
meeting.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thanks, guys.
So if it's okay with the group, I'm gonna move up Gen Nast celebration as the next topic. Just because we have a few people that have joined us for that. So over the past few months, and we have heard a lot of people who wants to honor the memory of Jen Nast, and you know, unfortunately, before she passed away, we had hope to honor her, and we had plans, and just, you know, unfortunately, time wasn't, you know, it didn't happen. And I know there's been a couple ideas. So first, I'm actually going to open up for the public to tell us what their ideas are, and then, you know, and hear everything. Karen has something.
Yeah, if I could, I just would like to, we have some young ladies with us tonight, and I have been given a heads up that some of these ladies might be a little shy. I just wanted to see if I could have them lead the way on this, and sort of
Yeah.
have them introduce who they are. So Caroline, why don't you, this is what I'd like you guys to do. Typically during a public meeting like this, we ask everybody that speaks from the public to give their first and their last name and their address. I actually would like you guys not to do that today. I would just like you to use your first names and tell us what Girl Scout troop you're with, because we know you're from Lunenburg. That way we can sort of keep your locations a little more confidential, since you're our young kids. So who wants to run the show from you guys today?
We had something ready for who says each thing already.
Perfect. Go right ahead.
We are Girl Scout cadets in Troop 30638.
Our names are Kaylin, Gwen, Caroline, Teresa, Molly, and Lacey. We're 6th grade students at Lunenburg Middle School.
We are here today because of Genevieve Nast. She was a physical education teacher for the Lunenburg Primary School. She ran her own dance school called Genevieve School of Dance and acted as a director for the Lunenburg Town Beach as a lifeguard, swim instructor, and lifeguard trainer. She shaped the lives of so many children and adults alike, but sadly passed away in November of 2022.
Jen Nast was important to many people, and she left a memory of a woman who cared about everyone she ever knew, and even those she didn't. The Lunenburg Public Beach was like a second home to her, and she spent her every summer there. So it's only fitting that we named the town beach after her.
We are proposing that you rename the Lunenburg Town Beach after Jen Nast because of how important she was to the community and how important the beach was to her. We ask you to please vote to change the town beach name to the Jen Nast Memorial Beach and put up a big sign saying Jen Nast Memorial Beach and come to your decision tonight. We thank you for letting us speak.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great job, girls.
Yeah, awesome job. Thank you. That was very clear and I love it. Thank you. And if any, Tom, do you want to speak? Would you like to?
Yes, please. A month or so ago, I floated the idea that these young ladies just presented on one of the Lunenburg Facebook groups. And I can say I have never seen anything posted on a Facebook group where every single person, the 100+ people who replied, had a positive response. I was going to build on what these young ladies just recommended and say that not only should the beach be renamed in her honor, but this would be a good opportunity to do a sweeping overhaul, improvement to the beach house itself, so that both the beach house and the beach would be something worthy of a woman who gave so many years of service to the town. I would suspect that everyone who is currently on this meeting either had swim lessons with Jen, or their kids had swim lessons with Jen, or their grandkids had their swim lessons with Jen. She did so much for the town, and as the young ladies quite accurately presented, she cared for and supported everyone she came in contact with, and her fundraising efforts through her, Disney marathons and other marathons are well noted. So that was my recommendation, that we take one step beyond what the young ladies presented and fix up the beach house and name both the beach and the beach house in honor of Jen, who gave so much to the town.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else from the public? I see Mr. Passius has his hand up. If you can unmute yourself and speak. No? Okay, I thought Dave had his hand up. Okay. Yes, please. You can go ahead. I think that's Ms. Lassard. Okay, yeah, I think you need to unmute. Yes.
There we go. Okay, I'm about to see which button here. So I'm Lynn Major, and I was a school teacher in town for many years in Lunenburg, also a lifeguard and swim instructor at the town beach for many years. And we want to add on to what the girls have said, and a group has raised some funds to purchase a tree in honor of Jen Nass to be planted on the beach if the commission approves it. I understand that that the Conservation Commission gave their okay if it was a native species and was to be hand dug. So we can provide that as well, for what, in addition to what the girls have said. But I'm also in support of, because Jen did so much for so many, and who knows how many lives she saved by teaching the life-saving skill of swimming, that it would just be a fitting tribute to her to name the beach. Thank you.
Definitely. And any other member of the public would like to speak? Okay. So I'll start for the commissioners, if that's okay. So we had the intention to honor Jen, and unfortunately she passed away. And taking on what Mr. LaFord said, we would like to fix up the beach house, which we actually just had a small renovation going there. And Karen and I were down there along with Angela. We were looking into what else needs to be done, because I think if we want to do that, if the commission makes that decision, we want it to be a really nice place in her honor. So that's, is going to be the discussion today. And Mr. LaFord, the workday, beach house workday was for the purpose of fixing that up. So it's on the agenda to be discussed that. So we're right on target with that. But I'll open to the other members of the commission. Karen, do you have any comments?
I do. Okay, so there's a couple of things at play here. One's a little bit more time sensitive than, and I'm not saying the girls' request isn't time sensitive, but I know that the request coming in from Sandy Lissert and Lynn Major is a little more time sensitive because I believe they have a tree on reserve over at Lakeview. So when this request came in, I immediately emailed over to our conservation agents for confirmation on what we had to do. After talking with Chris Ruth, he wasn't sure. And conservation did get back with saying exactly what Lynn said, which was as long as it was a native tree and it was hand dug, we didn't need to get any other permission from them. So they're looking at a maple tree. It's called an Acer rubrum. And it is a native species, and Lakeview, call them crazy, but they're willing to hand dig a hole to plant this in, which I can't imagine is an easy task in sand. When Anna and I were down there today, we did walk out on the beach to see where we could possibly fit a tree. There's more trees there than I realized. And I do believe that there is a spot sort of, it's almost like the middle of the beach. Is that how you describe it, Anna? It's the middle
Yeah,
of the,
by where one of the benches is.
Yep. That, would certainly work. So we have that. And then I do think it's a great idea on the naming of the beach house and the beach into the Jen Nass Memorial Beach. I'm gonna second what Anna has said. It's not I feel like I'm being politically correct in this because I don't know why, but it's not in any condition right now to be dedicated to her. I would actually be horrified if we dedicated that building to her in the condition that it's in. So I'm hoping that our other agenda item and some conversations that we've had recently with Chris Ruth will maybe get it moving along to get it into a state that we would all be proud of naming after her. The beach house for many years has just fallen in a state of disarray. And about, 4 or 5 years ago, Dave Passios and I started hounding the DPW director over the repair of
The
a wall.
former DPW director, sorry, I just want to make that clear.
The former DPW directors over the status and condition of a wall that literally was not holding anything up. That did get fixed. And so we have a working beach house again, but going in there today, there's just so much more that just needs to get done. So I'd like to see it happen. I'm 100% in support of it. I just think the timing needs to be done so that we're dedicating something that we're very proud of and honors her for what she did and for the person that she was.
Okay. Chris, do you have any comments?
I wasn't with you guys to see the state of the beach house, but I would trust your judgment, Karen's judgment, and would echo what Karen is saying. It certainly, given Jen's history and dedication to the program and the beach and so forth, I would certainly want it to be in the same vein that it's worthy of, her name being associated with that going forward. Obviously we'd have to vote on all this stuff, and I think we have a naming policy to review too, which maybe ties in with this as well tonight on the agenda, but I'd certainly be in favor of doing that. And when we would decide to do that, I certainly want to encourage the Girl Scout troop to come and be a part of that ceremony, if that was the direction we went in.
Okay, Tom, I'll circle back to you in a minute if it's okay. Keep your hands up.
Tom just figured out how to raise his hand, so he keeps doing it.
I know. Yeah. Colleen, do you have any comments?
No, I'm in agreement with everybody. I'll be interested to see, to hear from you what exactly the beach house needs, because I haven't been inside.
Right.
I guess, and like Chris said, I know, we're looking at the policy and everything for the naming. I would just hope that soon we would know, or maybe you already have an idea, the time frame we'd be talking about to fix the beach house. Like, I hate for the whole naming of the beach and everything to be held off if it's a long, will be a long process to get the beach house up and, to a point where we feel like it's a memorial beach house. And would maybe, if that is going to take a long time, maybe we would want to just look at naming the beach and getting a sign up there and then rededicating when the beach house is ready. And again, I don't know, maybe this is we can do a work day or two and it can be ready to go. But if it's a long process, I would hate for this to just sort of, this naming to wait around if it didn't need to.
Right. No, agreed. Tom, I'll give you the floor one more time, and then I'll try to bring things to conclusion here.
Thank you. Once the Parks Commission has examined the beach house in detail or with a critical eye, and you come up with a list of what's necessary, do you think it's worth reaching out to the community, looking for volunteers and donations, or is that to get it done not only faster, but with less of an impact on the Parks Commission budget?
Right. Well, that's well appreciated.
Do you have the beach house with us today, Tom? Will you fly on the wall? Because that's a similar conversation.
Well, I just brought up my my Facebook post. There were 129 positive comments and 240 hearts and thumbs up. So that's a pretty good set of positive responses, considering how divisive some political ideas can be.
Right.
To have
People good at town meeting. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I'll give a quick rundown of what Karen and I talked about and what we talked with Chris before Chris signed off. That's what he was talking about. So basically what we need there is we want to remove the carpet, install a type of vinyl floor that is easy to install, put a fresh coat of paint, and install baseboards. That is all we need on the inside. On the outside, we want to power wash everything if we have a spigot there. And if possible, we'll put a coat of paint on the railings on the porch. We believe that would make it, that will bring it to the standards that it needs to be. So what we have imagined is really going to be 1 or 2 days of volunteer work there. I did talk with Chris that the overall plan, the high level plan that we planned with Chris today in the parking lot as he was trying to leave his office was his guys can go there and rip the carpet off and evaluate what the subfloor is. And at that point, he would select, because Chris's background is actually construction, so it's a great match for us. And he would evaluate what best easy to install flooring can go on. And he would then come up with a list for us of what we need. And my plan was to do something similar to what we did with Earth Day, which was fairly successful, which is to reach out to the community and say, hey, we have this wish list at Home Depot, if you can contribute towards it. And we have this, we need this many hours of man work on these days. And please sign up, and we'll create a system fairly easy for people to sign up. And then we'll have those days planned. I think, Colleen, I'm not sure if we'll be able to do everything before we open the beach, because we're opening on the 17th. But I do think that maybe the most at midsummer, everything should be in order the most. Just because of ordering everything, and end of the year for people that have children at school, this is the busiest time. So I'm thinking it might be while we're on, there's a lot of logistics that we need to figure out with Chris. And if the beach is operating, that we're gonna need to figure that out too. But I don't think it's going to be the end of July and this is not gonna be done, just because the work that needs to be done is mostly cosmetic.
That's great.
Okay. Now, what I would love, which I think would be very impactful, is in terms of the naming, if we actually make it a big event and we make it public. I love our Zoom meetings, how convenient they are. But if we're able to get our everything in order, and maybe we can actually schedule a meeting for the day of the naming and have that motion to be made at the beach house where the public can attend. And then we make, we make the motion, we approve it, and then we have the event there. I think that would be really powerful to have the Parks Commission there. We'll invite other boards and have the public who are, so many people want to be part of this, and give people the chance to be part of this event more than just work, and actually be part of the naming and the revealing of the plaque. And hopefully we'll have a little plaque that we can install on the building. So that's what I had envisioned, like within the past few hours since we had this conversation, is to really have an event that we can bring in, people and have the opportunity to be there. So that's my idea. Now the tree, I think that might be something we might need to take an action sooner than that, because there's time. So if you'd like to talk. If someone would like to talk about it, the tree and the timeline and how some of that could work.
So Sandy and Lynn, are you still on?
Yes.
Did,
I don't know
did they give you a time frame of when they could do this work?
They said anytime. I've had the tree on hold for about a month, hoping things would work out. And I said, the beach opens the 17th. It would be ideal if they could get the tree in before then, so that it's not, I want to say it's about 12 feet, but it's not very wide yet as far as the leaf, giving a lot of shade this year.
Yeah.
But I think, it would still be nice. They're going to stake it until it adjusts to its new home. But it turns a beautiful red color in the fall, which I think would be lovely. And it has more smallish leaves, so as not to give more leaf litter to the beach area, And I know that a lot of people go to the beach for sun, but there are a lot of people who go to the beach with their children, and they are seeking out they get there early so they can get the few shady spots. And the other trees that were planted are lovely. They're oaks up near the fence, but the way the sun comes across the beach, it goes across where Emerald Place is over there. And so all the shade, if the trees are planted up at the fence line, a lot of the shade then goes into the road and shades the cars, which is nice too. But you lose some of the shade in front, so that if the tree could be planted more in the midline between the high water mark and the fence, would provide more shade for the families as it grows. There is one maple that I think might be the same type of maple in the middle of the beach. There used to be a grove of 3 there, and but it's slowly, rapidly dying. So it would be nice to replace that.
Right.
But the timeline, they sounded very flexible that they could get it done fairly soon. I couldn't give them a date because I said we had to wait for the commission to see if it was okay.
So Lynn, the other thing about the tree, one thing you had mentioned on, I think it was your email or Sandy's email, maybe, because, unfortunately Jen Nass's daughter also was to make it more. So, maybe that one can be something, in memory of everyone who has come, so that and I did like that idea as well.
I think that would be wonderful, because we've actually lost 3 lifeguards recently, and that's beautiful, Karen. Yes.
That's the tree. So this is
That's
the
tree.
tree
Yeah.
that, obviously this isn't our beach, but that's the tree. I just wanted everybody to see.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have lost 3 lifeguards, Katie, Jen's daughter, Katie, and Jen and Cheryl, who were all 3 were swim instructors. So I think it would be lovely and honor all 3 of them. I really do. And we could, once the tree's in, we could, figure out maybe if we put a little stone or plaque there. I don't want to put something where someone could get hurt, so that'd have to be something to brainstorm, how to do that.
Yeah. So I like that. So maybe, and I'm going to pull the commissioners now. So what I had imagined is, let's get plan the work day, plan the work, get it done. Hopefully by end of, as I said, I don't believe it's mostly cosmetic work. The biggest thing, I think Chris will get it done beforehand, which is to pull the carpet. And we'll do that celebration. We'll do the motion of naming the beach in person, give the public an opportunity to come and attend it. And I think that would be beautiful. But maybe we can make the motion of the tree now and accept it so we can get it on the ground before the town beach opens. And then we can brainstorm some ideas about how we're gonna, again, figure out the logistics on that. How does that all sound to the fellow commissioners?
That sounds good to me. So I would like to motion to accept the donation gift of a native tree as a memorial to Jen Nass, Cheryl Shaw, and Katie Kiefer to be installed at the town beach by Lakeview Nurseries.
Second.
Oh, can I add one thing? And that the location will be determined by our facilities director and his group along with the people donating, just because I don't want to get involved on that.
So I'll amend that to include what you just said.
Okay, sounds good. And Chris, you
I'll still
second?
second it.
Okay. All right. So we got to do a roll call. Karen?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
And I for myself. So Lynn and Sandy, so the tree is approved to go in. If you could work with Chris, Ruth, to find the perfect location and also to work the schedule to get in there. He's very flexible. Angela is also very flexible. I'm sure you guys will get it. And then we'll circle back on the logistics of everything else. And I'm going to give Tom Ford an opportunity. He has his hand up. I just wanted to finish that conversation there.
Let me
Tom.
just throw this-
Thank you.
Hold on one second. Sandy and Lynn, I'm going to send you an email right now replying back to you saying that our commission just voted and approved this. And I'm going to include Chris, Ruth, and Angela on that email. So you'll have everybody's email in the email that I'm about to send. You don't have to go searching for anything.
Thank you,
very much.
commissioners. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Yeah.
your efforts on this.
Tom, do you have something?
Two things. First, and when looking for a date to do the formal accepting of the suggestion and the actual naming, the end of July is always the cardboard boat race. So if that were to be synchronized, you might get enough people, you'd have to block off each end of the street, but it would certainly be a heck of a celebration. The second thing I wanted to ask is, Ms. Lockwood, you said a number of times, it looks like everything is a cosmetic attention to detail, but has that building been checked for structural soundness?
It has.
Okay.
Yeah, so the work that was just done, it was several $1,000s, and it was actually repairing of the wall, fixing the wall and ceiling work. And so all that was done by contractors.
So it sounds like the only thing we need to look at is the subfloor when they pull the carpet up.
Yeah, and we're confident Chris Ruth will be, so.
Now, if an organization like the Knights of Columbus or the Lions Club or any other organization in town wanted to contribute monetarily to help get the necessary equipment that you need or supplies that you need, is there an approved way for a private organization to donate to a town event?
Yeah, so the idea we've had today was we are going to do sort of a wish list where, and I believe Home Depot do have wish lists where you can share that and people can buy. It's kind of like a registry, and you can buy from it, and then people can just drop it off at a little location. So then we'll have the materials. So there won't be exchange of money to the town. It'll just come and be a box of the tiles that we need, a can of paint or brushes, and so forth. So we'll work that within the logistics. Okay. So, I just want to say it's so wonderful that, Jen did so much for the town, and it's so wonderful to see so many people interested in doing something in her memory, and I just want to say thank you to everyone. And this was something we wanted to do, and you guys have made it so much easier. And actually, you guys have given us the energy to push it through. And thank you so much. I think we're going to be in touch. We'll probably put a timeline on this work day and create a structure, and we'll make sure to share all the information with everybody. And let's have a in-person. I will very much looking forward to have an official meeting at the town beach in honor of Jen, where the only item on the agenda will be that. And I think it will be wonderful. We'll give everyone an opportunity to be there. So maybe we can even get the Lions Club to come with refreshments, because they love doing that. So I think it will be a great party. Well, we're good at throwing parties, so we'll do that. So I think at the end, everyone will be very proud. Thank you so much.
May I suggest that the young ladies did such a great job, they deserve a round of applause.
Yes.
And I immediately texted one of their moms to say they did a great job. So
yeah,
nice job,
thank you. Great job. Thank you. All right. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna cross that from the agenda. All right, next item of the agenda. It will be reorganization of the board.
I
And I'm
quit.
sorry. No, you just got elected, girl. And I don't know if you know, you're in the 5-year term.
I'm not on a 5-year term. Listen, people, let's be clear on this. I just finished 7 years. I have 3 more to go. I am out at 10. And I'm holding myself to that right now.
Sure.
I am.
So reorganization of the board. What are people's thoughts, interests? Who wants to do what?
So I'd like to see Anna remain as chair. I think she's done a fabulous job, especially around funding of Marshall. I know she doesn't.
Is there a motion? I'll second the motion.
I'll third the motion.
I know she doesn't necessarily want to take that on, but I would like to see you stay.
Okay, so I'm happy to stay one more year and finish bring the funding. I think that's our biggest thing. But I gotta say, we are doing so much more than just funding Marshall. Like, I really feel like we as a commission have done so much, and everyone has been so vocal and really champions for parks and recreation and kids and the adults. So yes, I'll do it if everybody stays as engaged as they have been.
That's my motion to appoint Anna Lockwood as chair.
Second.
All right. I'll do a roll call on that.
It's an aye from me, Karen Menard. Aye.
Okay, actually discussion, that is supposed to be discussion. Discussion is, I've loved working with everyone, and I hope everyone stays engaged. I'll take this, and I just want us to continue doing what we're doing, and not asking for more, but so is that a yes from everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, roll call. Karen.
Aye.
All right, Chris.
Aye.
Colleen.
Aye.
Awesome, thank you. All right, I'll do us good. How about vice chair? Do we have anyone who'd like the vice chair?
But
Chris, do you have a motion?
That's not here.
Right.
Yeah.
That seems cruel, though.
It's cool. That's cool.
Seems fitting, though.
What about
I mean,
Chris?
I think we
I'm-
all contributed pretty good sort of deal. So I mean, is there a set is there a set job? I mean, I don't know. I'm still happy to contribute, be an active member, and go to, sure, I could do it.
Because what typically a vice chair would just be the one that would step in and run the meetings if the chair wasn't available. Isn't that generally the
Right.
case?
Yeah, and and I usually tap on to everybody to help me, like whenever I can. I mean, you guys seen the emails.
It's been nonstop all year.
Um,
I'm happy to kind of.
So can I nominate Chris? Do you need somebody to officially nominate Chris?
yeah, I think we do.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll nominate Chris Sullivan for vice chair.
All right. Did you second that?
Did.
Okay, roll call, Karen?
There's no discussion.
Oh, discussion?
Kidding, it's an aye for me.
Gosh, okay.
Karen.
Colleen?
Aye.
And I for myself. Chris, you can vote no, but you're a minority.
I'm a minority. I'll vote. I'll say aye.
Okay. Karen, can I nominate you to be our clerk again? Because you did such a awesome job. Well, I'm nominating.
Fight me for it. I mean, it's not like we have like some endless pile of like.
I mean, someone has a binder with all our motions.
I'll second your motion there, Anna.
Okay. All right. Roll call. No time for discussion. Colleen?
Aye.
All right, Chris?
Aye.
And I for myself. Karen, again, you're a minority.
An aye, so it's all good.
Okay.
You do the same thing anyway. You think, Chris, just to be clear, I'm gonna redirect her phone number from my phone to your phone every time she calls me, which could be 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day.
Not true. I'm usually busy.
It's my phone. Let me pull up my recent call list.
No, can we move on? Because we got a lot going on. So the next thing, actually, don't be too sad. So one of the files that I shared today was the master plan steering committee, and Karen, you actually had said you wouldn't mind.
I would like to be on that committee.
Okay, so
really wants it.
So the town is going through the process of creating a master plan. The last one was created about 15 years ago. This is going to be a probably 18 to 24 months project, and where they have hired 2 consultants who will be spearheading that project, and they need someone from Parks. They said Parks and Recreation. I should let them know that we're just a Parks Commission. So if Karen had said that she would like to be that, does anyone else would like to be on that, or is Karen okay participating on that committee?
I think
Okay.
Karen's great.
Okay, I agree with that. I don't know if we need a motion. Do we need a motion?
I do not know.
All right, well, let's make a motion. I'll make a motion.
To do it. Yeah, and then if we don't need it, we can. Whatever.
Perfect. Okay, I'll make a motion to designate Karen as our representative in the master plan steering committee.
I'll second.
There you go.
All right, roll call. Colleen?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Karen?
Why?
And an aye for myself. So that's done. All right.
I left
So-
them notes too. So
Okay, can you email Adam Burney?
yeah, Adam and Matt Allison. I left them.
Okay,
know.
perfect. Okay. So the next one, we will need a vote, and I'm gonna try to speed up this because it's already been 2 hours of meeting, and I'm a little bit of a Cinderella. I do have expiration time. So within the discussions about construction and getting the Marshall Park construction and getting all these logistics, they're very high level now. I met with the skate park team, which Anthony's here, which is great, because then he'll confirm this. And we kind of I asked them what's their construction timeline, because we need to then plan for our construction. We already have $1 million in the bank, and I have communicated, the town manager and I have been talking, there is a possibility for seeking full funding from the town next town meeting. We have a roadmap for that, a financial roadmap. We also have our grants, but the bottom line is there is a great chance that comes July 1st of 2024, we are going to be ready to break ground. And we needed to coordinate that with the skate park to understand where they were. And what Anthony said is they're likely going to break ground this year. And their construction will affect T-ball, which I said, we need to figure out those things once we need to have a document with them too. But anyway, what I'm looking for this commission is for us to set a deadline for the skate park to be built. And one of the reasons that not just having to plan the logistics of the construction, but we also need to plan alternative plans should that plan not happen for our construction. So we are believing the skate park will happen. We are all counting. Wally's been talking with Greg Roy. This is all going forward, but we do need to have a plan B in place should that not happen by the time we're doing our construction. And what Anthony had said, and he's here to confirm, is by June 30th of 2024, their construction should be completed. Does Anthony want to speak to that, Anthony, in case? Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, no, you're just reiterating our conversation. You're spot on. Spot
Okay.
on. Yep, that is fully our intent as of right now. And we talked this out in detail with Chris. There are no concerns right now. We are having a little bit of a project creep as the plans between Greg and Nick are not fully solidified, which is preventing us from going to the Conservation Commission. But that should be ironed out hopefully in the next week or two. So no, this in the grand scheme should be a blip.
Yeah, the stormwater seemed to be the catch thing there, right?
Mm-hmm. Very
Yeah.
much so.
Yeah, and I think working together, according to Nick, that's the
Yep.
best for both sides. Okay,
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree.
awesome. And in a way, if by combining the stormwater plan, we actually, our construction will actually help skate park. So all in
And
all,
vice versa. And vice versa. Exactly.
yeah. So I am looking for a motion so that this is officialized and we can make plans for that. So can I get a motion? Should I make a motion?
Yeah,
Karen,
can you
you,
I'm sorry, I'm
you're
trying.
writing.
I'm typing. I'm trying not to fall behind on getting stuff out, so I'm typing an email as I was listening, and I missed some of the tiny details that I know I've already heard from you before, so why don't you
One
make
of my 8 calls a day, according to you?
you want me to count how many calls?
No, I already said, let's move on. The meeting's getting long enough. Okay, I'll make a motion. In short, we just need to make this official. So then when we can create our plan B, and according to Anthony, that's plenty of time. And if that wasn't the case, we would need to come up with, if he needed more time, we would figure out, but that's not the case. So we just need that timeline. So I'll make a motion. Karen, you need to help me with these motions. You're the clerk. What's the
Oh,
motion?
I can't make it.
No?
I missed half the details. All right, start making on a motion.
I
So
make a
what do
motion.
you need a motion that the skate park construction will be complete, that we have a commitment or something that the skate park construction will be complete by June 30th, 2024? Is that what you need? Something around that?
Yeah, that their deadline to use the space is valid until June 30th, 2024. So our offer for them to use the space expires June 30th, 2024. Does that make sense or no? No,
I'm just trying to figure out how to word it.
I know. And then you get English, my second language. It's tough. I always use that card, so we all know. With pride.
Motions are tricky to word anyway, even when English is your first language.
Yeah.
It's a very strange motion. We're just
Well, we
sitting
do have the motion
deadline on
that
it.
we made for them to, Karen, to use the space.
Yep.
Because I think we might be able to make might be able to make that motion and amend with the language. That will probably be best. So then,
You're setting a motion with a deadline, or the motion is the deadline to use the,
well, we can get, what I'm thinking is we might be able to use the original motion of them, allowing them to use the space and just add language to that motion where the construction must be completed by June 30th, 2024.
that motion with the understanding that construction will be completed by
Right.
June 30th, 2024.
Yeah.
That's your motion.
Well, there were other details. Did you find it, Karen?
So we had a couple. So we have one from January of 21 that's just supporting the build of a skate park within Marshall. Then we have one in November of 21 granting space to the Lunenburg Skate Park for the purpose of an up to 8,000 square foot skate park, and the location is documented in the plans that were presented tonight for the purpose of preliminary design plan.
And where is the 88,000 square feet?
And vote to support. And then in June of 22, there was a motion rescinding the approval for the location of the skate park that was approved in November, and vote to support and recommend the location that was in the master plan from WOLA. So we've had a couple. I don't know if any of those would be, I don't know if any of those would help us. at
Okay,
all.
so how about, okay, so I make a motion to approve the skate park, the construction of the skate park by Lunenburg Skate Park organization as shown in the plans today by WOLA and that construction must be completed by June 30th, 2024. Was that
So
good motion?
approved skate park construction of, approved skate park. Construction of skate park by Lunenburg Skate Park Organization as shown in the plans today by WOLA with construction to be completed by June 30th, 2024.
Yeah.
But what happens if it's not? Like our motion doesn't really do anything. Our motion is just setting I guess I don't follow the purpose of the motion.
So
'cause
if they
we're
don't.
just setting a date and then it's not finished, what happens?
Well,
Like, we're just,
right, so the plan is we need to, if
or they
they,
started and it's not done, what happens?
well, then we'll eventually have a contract signed that if the park is not constructed by that time, the contract will say either put the space back at its original state. And then we can make plans for plan B of, doing a different design on that location. Because we are going to be then at our construction phase for Marshall Park.
Okay.
The thing is, right now we are in the design phase. We need to tell them.
Yeah, no, I
create a
get what we
second
need to set a
phase.
deadline, just the motion of it.
Well, I mean, we're telling them they can.
The motion as a dead, or the motion as a deadline or a deadline as a motion just seems strange to me. I feel like there should be do we need to add an action to the motion?
Yeah,
other
do we
than-
need a motion to
Oh, gotcha.
present a contract with the deadline?
Like, it's just the deadline as a motion is just, it's just a deadline. It's not
Right,
really-
right.
it's really-
Right.
There's no action,
Well-
there's no action surrounding it.
Well, we're saying, well, we need to build a contract. The contract, it's being built based on our motion. So we have made motions for the space to be built up to 8,000 square feet, to be on the location shown in the plan. All those things are going to be part of the contract. So this language now will be part of the contract as well.
So do we just need a motion to add this deadline date to the contract?
Yeah,
the
I think so.
Okay, that works for me.
Because
I mean,
that's the
all we're at.
action,
That's-
adding the deadline to the contract?
Sure. we just need a deadline to go in the contract. And we need a deadline to plan for the design and to plan construction for it. Yes. So
So do we need a motion on that, or do we just need to put that request to the skate park with a contract? I don't know
we
that
need a
vote.
motion. The contract is being built around all of our motions. So like we have said, everything we have said before is what's going in the contract. That's how the lawyer is going to
Okay.
build the contract.
All right, so I'll make a motion to add a construction end date of June 30th, 2024 to the upcoming contract that will be drafted between Park Commission and the skate park group.
Okay,
I'll
Does that-
second that.
does that
perfect.
Take care of it? I think
That takes care of it. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. All right.
Anthony, does that make sense to you guys? Does that make sense?
That'd be a yes. Thanks, Chris.
So this, Chris, your motion is to add construction end date of June 30th, 2024 to the upcoming contract being drafted between the Park Commission and the skate park.
Correct. Yep.
Calling it.
That's an agreeable date to the skate park. That would be the date that I would set. Do we need any verbiage in there that would say
Yeah, I need you to change.
pending
your-
sort of a change that's mutually agreed upon between the Park Commission and the skate park? Like if there were circumstances that came about
We can
that
always
we
make
both
that.
mutually agreed upon, like, I don't know if that verbiage needs to be part of the motion or not.
No, I don't think so, because we can make any motion anytime to change
We can
anything
do
we
it down the
want.
line. Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So I have another problem. I need one of you to change your name because I use initials in my notes. Now I have two CSs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, Karen.
You can go CJS for me. Go
You can call
CJS.
me DS because my maiden name is birth.
I'm gonna go for it because that's just really good. Okay.
That might ring a bell on you, right?
Yeah. All right. So you have a motion and a second to
Yeah.
Chris's motion.
All right. And the roll call, Karen,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Colleen.
Aye.
All right. And I for myself, the motion passes. All right. So I am going to skip the naming policy. I shared that on the meeting folder. If people have any comments, maybe they can make the comments on the copy and send it to Karen. I don't think the Gen S, and honestly, the naming policy actually has dual purpose. I do have a hope that we'll have a naming policy in place that will also include corporate funding, because I will be going around trying to get capital investment for different features of the park. I'll be willing to sell a name of a field or something. Anyway, depends how much money people are willing to give us. So that is that other purpose for the naming policy that will be related to corporate sponsorship. But I don't want to lengthen our meeting longer. So if we could, I'll take a look at that policy. Any comments, send it to Karen. She will incorporate that. Deferred. Okay. So let's talk about the Beach House Workday. And I think I shared the ideas. My thought was to ask Ruth, to come up with a list of materials that we need and to really replace the rug with vinyl, paint the walls, and do the baseboard. And once he gives us that list, I was going to start a community outreach, and I'll take anyone who can help me with that community outreach, who would like to be a pair on that with me, to get people to sign up for working and make donations. And whatever we don't get, Chris said that he will work to get, if we don't get fully funded through donations, Chris will step in with some money. But it would be great if we can avoid that, because we are running on the negative already. But he said he would tap it onto his budget to help us. So how does that sound to everyone? Is that something we want to embark on, lead a work, even possibly a couple days of workday at Town Beach. In
When
order
do-
to,
When do you envision like, I'm just, like, what does the work that we're doing do to impact beach access and beach availability and so forth? Would be my only, just so we're communicating that to folks that have a beach membership and things like that, so that if
So
there's
this-
work being done inside the building, they may not be able to access the bathroom or.
So what I'm envisioning, after being down there today is, it's just gonna take a couple of days. I'm hopeful that we can, some of it is gonna be done whether or not, like, the painting is being done regardless of anything else, that is an absolute of getting done. So that actually, Angela and I may start that next week. We've got to sort of figure out how this conversation goes. So we're gonna try to do all that so it doesn't impact the beach. Other things that could be done while the beach are open, like even today, standing outside as we were leaving, the railings, leaving the beach are just absolutely filthy. And they literally just need a scrub brush with some soap and water and clear them off.
Yeah, some of that won't impact the,
But I
use,
think
but I'm just
that-
like, if we're doing flooring, like, you're not gonna be able to go in the building for a while, kind of deal.
Yeah, well, two things on that. I think one, I think that we could certainly plan around something if we had to even plan weather day. I do think Chris Ruth is energetic enough to see if he can get something off the ground fairly quickly with this. The other thing is, because depending on the type of flooring that goes down, we could just do what we did last year, which is the lifeguards, if they needed to come in to use the bathroom or somebody needed to use the bathroom, we could probably have it open for that while the flooring was going down, but use the main gate for people going in. So I don't think it was gonna have that
Okay,
big of an
all right.
impact. I could be wrong, but that's sort of my,
That'd be my only question. It's just,
Yeah.
People that have a pass and they show up and, or if it is gonna be a disruption, then we just communicate that.
what time does the beach
Way ahead
open
of
during the
time, kinda
week,
deal.
Karen, and on the weekend? Do you recall?
10,
And how about the weekend?
10 and 11, I think. or
Okay.
like that.
I can see us like, if 11 would be Sunday.
I think so.
Okay, like I can see, if we get volunteers be a Sunday morning to go there and put a few hours of work. And get some of these things done. I honestly think it's 2 days of a bunch of people there. And the flooring, as far as what I know, it's probably like 2 or 3 people and there are different rooms, but you can probably, you would need to start together this way, actually. Actually, you
is-
start in the middle. The truth is you start the floor in the middle because you don't
What is
want
he
to be.
thinking about for linoleum? What's the,
So the conversation today was just pretty general. So it actually started out with Anna lifting up a piece of the carpet and realizing that it was the subfloor underneath is all wonky, which is why I believe we probably have carpet in there, because it was the easiest thing to do 3 or 4 years ago when it was put in. So I had mentioned something like a luxury plank vinyl. And when we went and talked to Chris, he said, that would work, but he also mentioned maybe like a gym mat type floor, like I don't even know what it's called, like more maybe like a rubbery type floor is what I think that he's talking about. So he was going to look into it some more. When I tell you we ambushed him as he was walking out, that is no lie.
I believe it.
Yep, it was like, 1:58 and the poor guy was walking over to a meeting with town manager, and here comes Anna and I. So we didn't really give him much time to think about it. So I would think in the next couple of days, he'll have more information. And like I said to him, my biggest concern is what the floor underneath it looks like, how level it is, because some of that will affect the timeline of how fast we could get this done. Because some of it is stuff I do believe, I brought Anna in my house afterwards. I've laid that vinyl planking before, and it wasn't a difficult job to do. It actually doesn't require any power tools either. So
Yeah,
you know.
I put it in my back room, something similar, get an Acme tool and
yeah.
nail or whatever it's called. Like
So what I think what we can do is similar to what we did with Earth Day is once Chris gives me the list, and at that point he'll know what's on the subfloor. Okay. He'll give me the list, and he's actually good at estimating work. I can then reach out to everyone and say, hey, this is what it needs to be done. Can you volunteer? And when you volunteer, we would be sort of like the leads of the day. And I don't know what that even means, but it's really just like paint a wall or lay these tiles. And I honestly don't think it's going to take a lot of people. I think we're going to be looking mostly for donations of the material. And you say, yes, I can. And then I will create sort of like, and that's where it'll be great if I could have someone with me. And I'm not going to tap into Karen because I'm tapping into Karen a lot. Where just reaching out to the community, what Mary Wilson and I did was we did that form and people would email us. We gave out our contact information and just kind of coordinate that back and forth a little bit. Sometimes I get really busy at work and I can't always do it, everything. But, you know, I will reach out to the Ledger and say, hey, we're going to do something. And I'm sure they will run an article about it. And we can create a little QR code for people to sign up as a form where they'll volunteer X days that they can do. So that's it. So it should be, I think it's probably 2 or 3 days of work the most. And it's more of,
yeah, if you're doing tile work, you have to account for probably a few days because everything's got to, you know, grout has to dry. And
I hope we're not doing tile.
yeah,
You
hopefully
said
we're
tile.
doing,
You said tile.
No, I
well,
said-
tile, like linoleum tiles,
Oh,
there's vinyl tile.
I thought you were talking, when you said tiling, I was like, now I'm thinking
Yeah,
it's definitely.
there's no grout or anything, right? It just.
No, it's just
I was when
sticky
you said
paint.
tile, I was thinking grout, and I'm like, that's gonna take at
Well,
least a few
they're
days.
kind of a tile, you know.
I got you. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Different. Never mind. Okay.
It's stick-on tiles.
Gotcha. So I'd caution that we did that as a quick fix in our kitchen, but it does move and stuff over time. So there is a more durable fix.
Yeah, I'm gonna rely on
go
Chris
that-
Ruth
go
to
that
tell
route.
us what to do.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so how about this? I'll get the information from Chris. I'll email everybody an overall plan. You let us know what you can do. And
Yeah, I
then
think the first plan is going to be the floor. See what the subfloor is. It's going to tell us a
right.
lot.
And are we all okay as a commission for us to say we are going to do a work day and we are going to reach out to the public?
We can all
Yeah.
tag team that and get it all out there for sure.
Okay, I don't want to start something and say it's the commission work when it's just me, but I just want to make sure everybody's on board with that.
Get it
Okay,
squared away.
all right. Okay, so I think that's all we need for now is, yes, the commission is willing to do a work day and reach out to the public. And I think that'll be really nice for people to have an opportunity to participate on this because there's so many people interested. Colleen, I promise most meetings are under 2 hours, okay? I promise. It's just we had that presentation. Earth Day, I don't know if you all saw, I did add the slide presentation to the, Karen, can you let me share?
You should be able to share on it.
Okay, let me, I'll go very quickly. And so we did the Earth Day, which we were one of the leads. And the document that you guys have on the meeting folder does have a lot of details, but I'm gonna get to the number page. These are some of the pictures of the volunteers. And this was the day that Chris worked. He sent us the images from Veterans Park. This was on conservation, library, pollinator garden. And these were the people that helped us, Lunenburg Ledger, DPW and facilities, Chris and Bill. Our state rep showed up, Margaret Scarsdale. The groups were Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Lunenburg Youth and Softball Leagues, Aurora Lodge, Freemasons. They're out of Fitchburg, and they cleaned 2 miles of roads, the Turkey Hill Lions Club, Salvation Army, with food, and the National Honor Society of the high school. So it was amazing. In total, we had 13 events. We had 122 volunteers, and we had 361 hours donated for a total of about $11,000 of benefits to the community. So that was very remarkable. And I just want to share that and document that that was us. And hopefully, we'll have some similar report about what we do with the workday. Chair update. I think the biggest update we have is we got $1 million. I did send an email out about it. We are going to start working on some grants, and we have a big one, which is a park grant, which is about $400,000, which is wonderful because we now have matching funds. And that's all the update that I have. Approve of the minutes.
So this is the minutes from March.
Yeah, you had told me April. Those minutes. No,
If I told you April, I was wrong, because
Okay.
those minutes came in at 2:30 this afternoon, and I didn't even forward them to you guys because.
but it is the minute that was in our previous meeting.
Yeah.
I think I had read them.
Yeah, I'm fine
Minutes in
with
the,
it.
is it the minutes in the folder? Those are the February.
No,
15th.
it's the other one. I put the wrong one. It's at the March, right?
I believe it's March. I don't have it right
Yeah,
now.
I'll put it over there.
I just yawned on camera. I'm sure that's gonna be what our screensaver is on YouTube or whatever, that cover picture.
Okay, I added there is the March one, Chris. It's on the meeting folder now.
March 2024. I could make a motion to approve the minutes of March 2024.
Okay, I'll second that while Chris is reading quickly.
I need to reload the, guess I need to reload the folder.
Let me see.
Oh, look at that. That's handy.
We can hold it if you want, Chris. It's up to you.
I'm,
We're
yeah, I
still in-
can, or I can abstain. I just haven't read them
Well,
yet.
we need
so-
3 votes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Colleen will feel comfortable voting.
Well, I don't think I can vote because I wasn't there.
You can vote, but let's just hold it, Anna.
Okay, all right,
Sold.
fair enough. Sounds good.
Oh, yeah, I just haven't read it.
That's fine. Okay, we hold it. We are not breaking any laws yet. Okay, any other, I don't have any correspondence, any other information, any public comment from the board?
Tired.
The only thing I'd say, one, welcome to Colleen. Happy to have her,
you.
happy to have her aboard, and I just publicly thank Dave Passios for his years on the park commission, his knowledge and expertise over the years and insight and so forth that he provided. That was always valuable, and I wish him the best and appreciate all the years we've had working together. So.
Thank you. Karen, do you have any public comment?
Do not.
All right, Colleen, you have any public comment?
No.
Well, I also want to thank Colleen for being here. I really appreciate it, and I think you're going to be a great asset for us. You're a really nice person right there. It's a great thing, and I really appreciate you saying yes when I sent you a text, and I look forward to working
Want me
with
to
you.
give her
in the
your
next
phone
years.
number? You want her phone number so you can
She
call her?
has it. She has it. Yeah.
Yeah, we texted today. We didn't talk, but we did text today.
Yeah. Her and I are very efficient. We have a
Link
very
slighted.
efficient. We have a very efficient relationship. We can just text. All right. So, Colleen, I promise you this was a long meeting because of the presentation. But
Yeah, I'm gonna hold you to that.
appreciate.
What are we doing for our next meeting? Or are you gonna put that on hold until you get a date from WOLA?
So I think what I think we need to do actually, okay, that was going to be the next thing. I am going to ask Chris Ruth to give us his opinions and insight about the plan. And I think we might need to commence sooner than that because we need to give her feedback about the lights.
Okay.
But I think we need to be specific enough we need to be specific enough. And he talked about, you know, the conduits and this and that, and I have no idea what he was talking about and what that means in terms of pricing. I don't know if, do we have any thoughts? That seems to be the only feedback they want from us is regarding lights. And what Chris said was, we can do lights, set up the lights on the park to build them later and just do it on the
Like we
parking
said,
lot.
like we did, I think the decision really on the most immediate is, are we putting lights in the parking lots or not? And then the conduit piece is just the underground stuff that they would hook into if we decided 2 years from now or 5 years from
Right.
now, we said, oh, you know what, we should, something happened, we should put lights along the walkways in the park. The underground work is already there for us to, now all you're buying is light poles, wire, like you're just hooking lights up.
Okay.
Uh,
So do we want to wait for Chris and the chief of police to give us a feedback and maybe we can plan to have a short meeting on the 7th? And I don't think Walla will be, it will be just one subject.
Yeah, you want to meet on the 7th of June?
I do for us to have a decision on the lighting. But it will be one item only, like I will not ask agenda items. So just so you know.
I'm not available. That last
That's
basketball
fine
clinic.
for me.
You're not, Chris?
That's the last basketball clinic that I'm volunteering.
Oh, okay. How about next Wednesday?
What's that? 31st?
Because I think Chris can turn around, and Karen, can you get an opinion from the chief?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I should go in there with the map to show him.
Yeah, you can probably ask Chris to print a design for you. One, like the thing.
I'm open next Wednesday.
Okay, so are we up for a half-hour meeting for next Wednesday to just discuss lighting? Okay, thank you. So let's plan for the next meeting. Should be that, and I'll let Walla know. Okay, thank you. So that's our next meeting.
Right now,
What?
sending in a Zoom request right now.
Okay, and with that, I take a motion to adjourn.
Do we want to set another hard date though for our actual next meeting?
So that one, let's plan to be the one with Walla where she makes the final presentation.
Okay.
I'll get the date from her and I'll have that information on the 31st.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn at
Second.
9:42.
Okay. Karen,
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
And I for myself. Good night, everyone, and thank you so much.
Good night.